will call our meeting to order. And because we have members who are appearing remotely, I would ask the members appearing remotely to identify themselves. Sarah, do you want to start?
Hi, I'm Sarah Carter.
Thank you. And Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Tom Abdelnour.
Great, thank you. And the next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. I assume that the agenda is acceptable as the amended one was sent out to members. Board member comment. What's that about, John?
See that in.
You need a motion to actually approve. No.
Do it by unanimous consent. Board member comment, I'm not seeing that. Oh, board member comment. I have no idea what that is.
Okay.
Sarah put that there and I looked at it and I was wondering, does she want us to comment? I don't know. I don't think it serves any purpose.
Maybe. Yeah, it could be. What I think I will do, though, I haven't been doing this, but I think what I will do is ask us all to introduce ourselves so the people coming before us know who we are. And I'll start. I'm Jack McCullough. I'm the chair of this board.
Ron Weil.
Mary Hooper.
Ben Doyle.
Brent Curtis.
Elaine Ball.
Kim Cheney. Sal Alfano.
Carrie Brown. Stella Mel.
John Odom.
All right. We have a quorum. And unless there's any suggestion that it's not going to work, I will just take the cases up in order. And we're starting with Kathy Apgar and Brent Curtis. And Brent Curtis, that's you.
I'll turn the light off so you can see the screen.
Yeah, all lights.
All or nothing.
Yeah.
I'm much better off. All right.
All right, Mr. Curtis, I'd like you to raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Why don't you just go ahead?
I'm new to this, so I will beg your indulgence as I jump into this. My sister and I inherited my family home that went back 2 generations before us. We were born and brought up on Elm Street here in Montpelier. After my father passed away, shortly after he passed away, we were preparing to divide the furniture and many of the things that were still left in the house. I had moved in there with the intention of preparing it to go on the market. So I had moved everything that we thought was valuable into the garage, with the exception of some of the furniture in the house. And when the flood hit, it filled the cellar, wiped out the heating unit, wiped out the hot water heater. And perhaps more important than all of that is it wiped out a 270-gallon oil drum that created an entirely different situation in the cleanup. When we were able to get back into the house, clearly the damage was done. And in talking to the folks from the federal government, they indicated I wanted some information about how the flood water that I thought was just rising could just devastate a cellar and take a furnace off its foundation, as well as the other. They explained to me that it was very similar to the movie Titanic. As the glass windows broke into the cellar, the volume of the water just increased. And so we had water up to about 3 feet on the first floor. It didn't go to the second floor. My sister and I worked on it together. I'm retired and she's about to retire. And we just had to go through the entire property. And if you take a look at some of the photographs that are going to be included this evening, you can see the front of the house, and again, that simply shows you that the windows were broken on the right side and the flower garden waped out, the lawn waped out. The next photograph down is a look at what was left of the dining room. And to the right of that photograph is what's left of the living room. The flooring was, as you've heard on so many different occasions, the flooring was weakened and buckled. I'll ask you to turn the back of that page, and this is what is left of the kitchen. The appliances, of course, are gone. The flooring is gone. You see to the left of that top picture where the hall was, the banister, and a shot into the laundry room. On the bottom of that page, you will get a look at the laundry room and the view into the kitchen. The armoire that you see was on the back wall prior to the flood. Again, the flooring is missing, and just beyond the armoire, there is a bathroom that was destroyed as well. On the next page on the right, you get a view of the kitchen on the right-hand side, or what's left of it. There was a counter with stools. It was a place to eat breakfast or whatever. And you see what was left of the living room to the left. And just looking down, if you would, I hope I'm not going too fast, but this is what's left of the den. You can see that the flooring is all the way down to the sheets of plywood, and those have had to be removed as well. So the reason I'm here is that we're looking to have our taxes abated for 2023, 24, and 25. The property, the building, the structure is virtually useless. There's about a 5x5 piece of grass left on the left-hand side of the house. There's nothing that we can do to change where it's located. It is in the center of the flood zone. We can't move that, we can't change that. But one of the things that's come to our attention, specifically by the people we asked to review the property, is that behind the house is a ledge. And in testing the ledge, that poses a threat. I grew up there. I remember it. I used to play out back, but it didn't look anything like it looks now. In fact, the property above us that goes all the way up to, is it Court Street or? No, I don't. That's it. It is. There's a beautiful forest area. I used to, again, play there, but what's right behind our home is very similar to what is further down on Elm Street on our side, where they tore down the apartment building and you see simply ledges. And from time to time, you see them come down. There is a really severe scenario there in regards to the ledges. So if we were to sell the property, which has just not happened, that again, based on the floodwaters and the deterioration of support around there, makes that a separate issue that we've had to address. Perhaps in conclusion, I would say that as sad as it is for my sister and I, we're looking at a home that is virtually useless. We looked for an abatement for our water because we were being charged a water bill for all this time, and that was straightened out. And certainly we understand how that process works. There was not a lot of good communication for us. We sent in information in regards to an abatement earlier. We've heard nothing. But I also recognize that, you know, not having a post office and that kind of thing has definitely affected the communication via the Postal Service. But what we presented here today is the fact that it's useless. And every day that goes by, we can't heat it. The heating system's gone. The electrical system is now gone. It just deteriorates. It's hard enough to see that, let alone pay for that. And in essence, that's the way I would structure it for you.
Ron,
So I have several questions about what happened in 2023 with the abatement process, but before we go there, I have a question. Are we empowered to abate taxes from 2 years back? Can we even do that?
Yes, we are. Just so you all know the rules here, I got two negative Nellies and one positive. One, of course, is that we can't vote on the assessment at all because we're the Board of Abatement, so we're not the Board of Civil Authority. Second is theoretically, according under the law, we shouldn't be abating for anything other than the year in which the property damage was done. And the third thing is that this board has decided to do that anyway. So in the past, and I know they'll be asked to do that again. So just has affirmatively decided to do that. So,
It's negative, but positive.
well, it means you all have freed yourself.
Year the damage occurred, 2023.
But in the past, there is a precedent with this board where in the past you have gone ahead and abated for the current year based on that.
The criteria is whether the property is livable. Is that not 100%?
No, because the damage wasn't done. Yeah.
but Ron, I don't think it's right to say that the damage is in 2023. I think it was in the 2024 tax year because it
Right.
happened in July of 2023.
That's correct.
Getting.
Yeah.
But they are asking for an date in 2023 council.
If I may, the point that I made and I've put into the affidavit is that we applied for abatement. We applied multiple times. And there was no communication on that immediately after the flood. And it wasn't until a year later when we again did not want to pay a water bill for a property that wasn't using it, that this whole thing started all over again. We've paid the taxes, but we've paid taxes on a shell and a 5x5 piece of used to be grass.
It looks like by apply, you mean you spoke to Bev?
Did you ever get, did you
No, we
fill
didn't
out
get, we didn't
paperwork
get
and,
one of the paperwork.
and take it to the town clerk's office?
I'm sorry, sir?
Did these, the request for abatement, which you filled out just this month, did you fill out one of these forms at some earlier date and?
We
and
filled
get it
out
to
a
the
form
town?
every year. And took it to City Hall.
And you gave it to myself or Sarah?
I didn't do it, my sister did, and I remember she just said that she had turned it in.
Okay, other than the one we've received, we have no record of that. I'm sorry.
So that's what we hear.
Donna,
Yes, but I'm not getting confused with what's eligible versus when we first got your application is July 23rd, 2023 was the FUD.
Yes.
July is the first month of the new tax year, 2024. So I can understand that the FUD would impact you and you would ask for tax removal in 24 and 25, but I cannot understand why you're asking for 23 that ended June 30th.
I can answer that by simply saying, if you look at our tax bill, that would tell you that we were paying taxes in 2023 and the house was not usable for at least half of that year.
What made it unusable in 23?
The flood of 23.
The tax year is the same as the calendar.
This is a lot.
That's right, so it's July 1st, 2023 was the beginning of the 2024 tax year.
I understand.
Fiscal year.
That makes sense.
The tax bill that we have is the 26 tax bill. So I think all of these are displayed.
I'm gonna jump,
They cross counting.
yeah,
So we're paying taxes now,
Right.
5.
What I'm thinking is that what's listed here in 23 is actually 24.
You know, yeah,
That's what I'm
Does
understanding.
the number match? Oh, it doesn't.
Yeah. that's that, but that's, I think that's the mistake that. Three.
Yeah, but if this number matched, but it doesn't. So
But it's actual 3,000. I already have that.
something each year.
Let me jump in.
Geez, years of-
I think I'm gonna call on Marty, and Marty, would you raise your hand, please? You're looking for a way to unmute yourself?
I
There
can,
we go.
I can unmute, but I can't raise my hand.
Okay,
Oh, this
Well-
hand, my real hand.
exactly, your real hand.
Okay.
Your
Yeah,
your
sorry.
bio. Okay, do you solemnly affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. So Marty, do you know what has happened to the assessment of this property since the flood?
So the assessment was lowered. We had a formula that we came up with, and I believe that we were lowering the value of the first floor. I'm trying to log in while we're doing this to see if I can find it. I'm having trouble with my software, but we did adjust the assessment after the flood. And I believe there was a contract on this house for sale in damaged condition, which I believe fell apart due to an old title issue. So
Yeah.
there was interest in the property at one point.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I think one of the things that has come out of this is that as realtors, or when they were showing it, they're not showing it anymore. What they found were that people particularly liked the bones of this building. They liked the tongue and groove, and it was more for what they could take out of it than any value. Again, I don't know that it'll ever be usable, and if it is, what would happen or the mandates, but the interest we had were people were interested in the work that my father had done on the inside.
And then the other question that really is bugging me is what happened with FEMA and the city
Oh.
and whether in the state that this house is in, I would think that this would be qualified for what's called substantially damaged, and it would be eligible for a buyout. Was it not eligible for a buyout because it's historic or?
We did not make there was a list of 10 that went down to a list of 5, and we were not included in the buyout. In terms of FEMA, they gave us maybe 1/10 of the cost of repairing, making it livable. And unfortunately, that's in an escrow account now, and we can't use that.
Mary,
So I don't understand your answer. Did you apply for the buyout? Did you
Yes,
ask
we
for the
applied 3
board-
times for the
Okay,
buyout,
board
yes.
buyout. And
You should have that paperwork, I would assume.
to ask if the city has any, because I don't understand the list of 10 and 5 and.
yeah,
It's historic.
Sarah got at
You
everything
said
she
in your
had.
list, it's historic, if so.
It's on the registry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that restricts.
But from a buyout.
Yeah.
Forgive me, but did I deal with a gentleman by the name of Michael?
Yes.
possibly there's a guy named Mike Miller.
That Mike Miller is the person that worked with us on this.
Mhm.
Buyout makes sense. It would-
Yeah.
And he let us know that we were on the list and the list was shortened, we're still there. But when it came down to, forgive me, 5 properties or so, we did not make one of the 5 properties.
They had a list.
I'm sorry, please.
They had a particular criteria list they went through each house.
Yes,
That's, yeah.
So what is it we can do this?
Well, I would just say a couple things, just so you all know, we can definitely abate, the tax year, the first tax year that he's asking for where the flood was. We're not supposed to abate the other years for the same damage, but there is a precedent that's been set by this board where we did. So I would be concerned about consistency.
Damage hasn't been remediated, why can't consider it?
Because,
Damage wasn't done in that tax.
because the standard in the statute is taxes or charges upon real or personal property lost or destroyed during the tax year. So what that means is that if you have a fire in the tax year and your house burns down, you get the abatement for that year. But I assume the logic is that in the subsequent year, you would get your assessment reduced because you don't have a house on the property anymore. So your taxes would then be based on the reduced value of the property.
Just for the.
May
lot.
I address that? Please, let's define house. There's a shell there. It's not livable. I'm pretty sure that even homeless people could not live there because of the floor condition. So there's a structure there. I would agree with that, but in terms of that's a house, it's a shell. There's nothing. Yes,
Carrie.
Did you, appeal your assessment and go through that process to try to get the assessment value lowered since the house isn't really?
we worked with Michael on this whole process. I'm not involved in that. But again, we heard nothing, so we continued to pay. There was no communication and, you know, we fulfilled our obligation to pay the taxes.
Yeah, I think that's a no, John.
So yeah, you did not speak to Marty about any of this?
Marty, I didn't talk to Marty, anybody.
I'm not sure how to raise my hand on here, but we did lower the value of the property from 254 to 161 after the flood. You're laughing. What was your contract on it for?
I'm sorry, sir.
You had a contract on it. What was the sale price on it?
Sale price was contingent on the building inspection was 125. But they rescinded their offer within the proper time, decided that they didn't want to do it.
And Marty, has the time elapsed for someone to appeal this year's assessment?
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
Ron.
So what? Oh. So there's a total loss in 23. Let's say it's a five.
24.
24.
Right.
Summer of 23, tax year 25.
Actually, 25.
Let's say it's a fire, not a flood. And
Right.
so the house burns to the ground. It's not rebuilt. There's a lot there. So the tax bill in 25 would be just for the lot, right?
Assuming it's reassessed at the value of a lot without a house on it, right?
So I guess I'm wondering if the house was uninhabitable. Well, why would it have any value?
I would just add that as long as it's in a flood zone, that land is depreciating in value to virtually zero. Normally, if the house burns down, you can put something else on it, you got a plot of land. I haven't heard any discussion about that, but I'm assuming that the land is worthless as well.
That's what we're told by the realtors.
And Tom, I see you've got your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This will just be an attempt to clarify, and I do apologize again if there's any delay in the audio as there was before. So it seems like there's virtual unanimity here that 2023 as a tax year had ended before the damage occurred, correct?
Yep.
So that seems beyond dispute at this point. And am I correct, John, in understanding that you say that unambiguously we would have the ability to abate for the year 2024 if we chose to?
For that tax year, yeah, the tax year.
Yes.
That it happened.
Yes. Yep. And so then it seems like that sort of narrows the scope of our discussion, at least somewhat. It seems like 2023 would be sort of immediately off the table unless I've misunderstood something. I understand that you said that we could exercise discretion to do so, but it doesn't seem that there's damage that's being discussed that occurred in that tax year. Is that correct?
I think that's correct.
No, I think that's correct, yeah.
So then it seems that the decision would then be narrowed to whether or not we chose to take action for 2024 and whether or not we chose to take action for 2025. And my understanding of what you're saying with regard to 2025 is that to do so would be to exercise some discretion for which there is precedent for this board, but not necessarily statutory backing according to the merit. Have I understood that all correctly?
Yes,
That's it, yeah.
that's it.
I hope that that it seems like that should at least narrow the realm of what we're discussing. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Sal?
John, could you remind us of the precedent? What was the circumstance?
Uh,
Was the house being repaired, but it was just, it had been
No,
extended?
the house was considered substantially damaged under the initial judgment.
Not this house.
Yeah, right, under the initial assessment from, I guess, from Mike's office.
But it wasn't a buyout.
No, no. I think with one of those coming up today, there is a buyout happening. So that could affect our discussion because there's a couple more folks who are gonna be in the same situation where they're talking about an abatement for a year that wasn't the year that it was done, the current tax year.
And what's happened to that property? The one that you're saying
precedent.
we set the precedent?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got a couple folks here, or 3 folks here, for whom that precedent was set. So, and they'll be asking for it to continue that precedent.
So just to be clear about the precedent. The damage occurred in the 24 year, we abated those taxes. But then we decided, even though the damage hadn't occurred in the 25 year, that because the houses were substantially damaged.
Still
they're
damaged.
all houses that were qualifying for a buyout or something or other. That we would abate the 25 taxes as well.
Right.
So that was the exception that we made. And so I'm not sure how to be consistent, because I'm not sure if this house was on the substantially damaged list. It sounds like maybe it was, in which case, to be consistent, we would want to abate 24 and 25.
If I may,
Yeah.
we were of the understanding that there was a limited amount of money. And the system that was used for the buyout found whatever the criteria was, allowed them to do it in an order that would address the particular property. The other thing I would say is that unlike a fire, we're talking about so many properties here in Montpelier. Barry, I know, is going through the same thing, that are rendered useless. And as a matter of fact, the liability factor for me as an owner is tremendous. And again, there's nothing of value there. I understand you need to place a value there, but again, I pick out 5x5 grass. The rest of it is not. It's like finding a shelter in Hubbard Park. How much would you tax a shelter?
Okay,
I'm curious, like, what do you see as the end game here for that property?
I don't know how that property is going to be left standing. I'm not sure what will happen there. The litany of points made by potential buyers. Number one included, you can't take it out of that flood zone. This is going to happen again. It happened 2 years in a row. What's to say it's not going to happen 4 years from now? Number two, and that is the continual deterioration of the area in that ledge area behind the house. That's the other point. Going back, the third point is how much has to be torn out or torn down. That's the question from anybody who's even looked at it. They can't tell me how much has got to be torn down, not just torn out. So as the property sits there, it deteriorates every year. Winter doesn't help at all, as you know. And it's just, it loses value. I'm a homeowner and my home is losing much more value than ever. And so pretty soon we get to the point where it's a draw.
Mayor or Carrie, sorry.
So I think there are a couple of different issues here. There's a question about the value of the house, and I hear you saying that it's just going down, and like you don't think that 161, I would imagine, you don't think 161,000 is a reasonable assessment.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
pardon me.
So, but we can't do anything about that. That's something for the Board of Civil Authority to take on. Well, all we can do is decide whether to abate the taxes. And so I feel very comfortable abating taxes for the 2024 year when the damage happened. It seems to me like this house is comparable in damage to the other houses that we made an exception for in 2025. So I would be comfortable abating 24 and 25 taxes, but then ask that any future tax issues be taken up on the assessment side of things, so that the property is fairly assessed at its actual value.
And is that a motion, Mary?
Okay,
Karen,
that's a
sorry.
motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
With a comment. That before the applicant leaves, be given very clear instructions, of what he has to do, when it has to be done by. So that we're not here next year talking about the 26 taxes. But what he really wants is to have the taxes changed, the assessment changed, to either nothing or a lot or whatever it is. And even though many of us are the Board of Civil Authority, that's not the meeting that was warned, that's not why we're here tonight.
Agreed.
So
Thank
I
you for
don't want to make it sound silly, but.
No.
So is that possible once we take a vote on Gary's motion?
Well, that's why I raised that question with Marty. To get his assessment changed for now going forward, for the taxable year 2026 going forward, he would have had to file an appeal of his assessment before now. Because when the assessment book comes out, you get your new assessment every year with your tax bill. You have 30 days to appeal. And that happened more than 30 days ago. Is that right, Marty?
That's correct. But we can get together anytime in the next several months to have it straightened out for the 26-27 year.
Okay, and then the other thing that bothers me is it seems like we should still get to the bottom of what's going on with not this board, of course, but figure out what's going on with the buyout, because it seems like this property is the ideal candidate for a buyout. It's a property that is not usable in a sensible way.
I didn't think it was appropriate to bring all that correspondence about the buyout, but that is something that I could do at a future date. And if you would be so kind as to just direct me as to where that goes, I'm more than happy to accommodate that.
I would say go back and talk to Mike Miller.
All right, thank you. I don't want to make any more work for anybody.
No, that's right, because that would not be within our jurisdiction, the jurisdiction of this board at all. Donna.
Well, I have two questions. One is that it was reassessed in 2024 after the flood. So we could ask what that was based on, maybe cut the property value in half. And if, when I was here before and we did the abatements with the flood, we looked at the second floor. And so this does have a second floor, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And we did some formula on that. So
I believe when we did that, that was based on, was that when we had multiple units?
or was it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had some sort of an apartment.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it, you know, and with what Mike went through with the assessment of uninhabitable versus what FEMA looks at is very different. So I think we might want to look at that criteria at some point to get more familiar with it. But it didn't qualify for that, for whatever percentage was not damaged. There's a whole list that Michael goes through that FEMA lays out for each house. So you can qualify to be a buyout and not take it, but the reasons I would presume is on the FEMA chart why this didn't qualify.
But
And the other question I had is dealing back here with the land value, that one could put a house and make it sustainable through floods if one chose to invest in that land. So to me, the land still has some value. And that's one piece I just don't want to forget.
And you know, just to speculate about what might have happened with you not being on the buyout list. It could be that, you know, after the flood, the Vermont legislature took action and appropriated money to go to the municipalities to, so that we could proceed with buyouts and elevations without, waiting for the money to come from FEMA. And, but that wasn't enough to cover the entire need. So it's very possible that at a point in the future, you will still get a buyout from FEMA, but you were not one of the first properties to qualify for Montpelier to use the state money to do that. But that's a question that Mike could help us figure out. Sal,
Just wondering if we want to amend the motion to include the actual figure that we're debating, which is two tax years. 77.89 and 76 cents, 77.89.
Total is 7.9.
7.76.
That was, I'm gonna ask you to repeat that.
7.89 and 76 cents
And
That's the combined total?
of those 2 years.
That's times 38, 94, 88.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
is there? I see that, Counselor Pellin-Cohen has just joined us. So Helen, if you want to just, identify yourself for the record.
Yeah, thank you. Pelincon District 2. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, so are we ready to vote on the motion? The motion again is to abate taxes for 2024 and 2025. Tax year, yep. For, with the stated total as indicated. John?
I would just want to be sure that everybody is cognizant of the precedents being set, because it will impact probably others who are coming before this board. Just want to make sure y'all are thinking about that.
Am I correct that we've already set the precedent of debating 2025 tax year taxes?
Yeah,
So this is consistent with what we.
with that precedent, I was talking about essentially the continuation of the precedent.
Right.
And what happens next. Yeah.
But this does nothing for tax year 2026.
Right.
Donna?
But the houses we considered for that were all on the list that Mike did as far as qualifying for the standard of FEMA. This house wasn't on that list. It had no chance to go. It was only 12 houses that met that list for potential buyout.
Mhm.
So I feel very different about this house because has not been on that list. So I'm gonna vote down the motion. I would support 24 and 25. I'm down to, I mean, Marty's already reduced it. So I feel the land has value.
So keeping what you said in mind, Donna, are you, and you don't have to make this motion if you don't want to, but are you interested in making a motion? You're seeking to have this motion divided so that we would vote separately on tax year 24 and tax year 25?
Sure.
Just a thought,
Sure.
because you would presumably vote yes.
That's one
for
way to
20
do it. That'd be one way to do
You
it.
would presumably vote yes for 24, even if you're not voting yes on
We
25.
could abate the taxes on the house for 24 and not the land, or for 25.
That's what I'm proposing. That's not what the motion says.
Ron,
Right.
Mary, go ahead.
So I think we're pretty clear about tax year 24 and what we've done in the past and how this fits in with that. It seems to me that there is some question or confusion about this property's status with regard to the buyout for 25. And I can get comfortable with the past precedent of those properties being abated that we know were eligible for the buyout. If this one becomes eligible, then it fits that precedent. So it strikes me that it might make sense to act on the 24 year and seek additional information or put off making a decision about 25 until we understand its status with regard to the buyout.
Ron,
Just to clarify, you mentioned a list of 10 and then a list of 5. Were
That-
you on the list of 10?
We were on the list of 15, then 10, and I don't think it went any further.
But you were on the list of 10.
We were on the list, and the reason, and again, it was our interpretation, I can speak for my sister, that the reason we were not granted that status is because there wasn't enough money to do that. So in essence, what I'm telling the board is that we've been on hold since the flood.
Okay.
There's just no move.
Carrie,
So what I'm remembering, that there was this term substantially damaged or
Yes.
substantively damaged, which was that the cost of repair would be more than 50% of the value of the house. And that was the standard that we were using. Now, whether you qualify by FEMA standards to get a buyout, I don't think is the right standard to use because FEMA does their own thing. And it's not what we were using, I don't think, when we made the exception.
We were using
other-
substantially
we were using substantially damaged. So now my question is this property substantially damaged?
but I think the term substantially damaged is what it takes to, that's the criterion to qualify for either buyout or elevation. Donna, or, sorry, Ben.
Well, and qualifying for a buyout is different than state money is totally separate, was qualifying for the federal guidance.
Yeah, I just echo Donna, I think, and what you said earlier, Jack, I think we're conflating the state money from the legislature and the FEMA buyout. And it strikes me, I don't know what the precedent was, but it seems like substantially damaged would be the appropriate. And so the question then becomes, has the planning department determined that this building is substantially damaged? So I'm inclined to agree with Mary's approach of let's definitely abate 24 and then get clarity from Mike on like, what is the status of this property? I would assume that it's substantially damaged, but we don't know that, right? And if it is, then I would be very comfortable with abating the taxes in 25 again.
I would like to vote on the proposed motion, the only one that's on the table.
Donna.
Well, I think I'll move forward as I was talking about, and I'll amend the motion, I'll put an amendment up to abate just 2024 taxes at this.
So there's a motion to amend the original motion to only abate the taxes for tax year 2024. Is there a second to
I
Donna's
think
motion?
whoever seconded the first has to accept.
No, amendment,
We can just,
amendment is its own motion.
Oh, sorry.
yeah, we can just proceed, you know,
Yeah.
we could vote on that, if, but yeah. So is there a second to Donna's motion?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on Donna's motion?
So does voting for Donna's motion preclude or considering 2025?
Just in this motion.
No, just in this motion. Because what could happen is if Donna's motion passes, then the motion before the body would be to abate taxes for tax year 2024. That passes or fails, and then whatever motion anyone else wants to make would be in order. So, okay, motion is, should the motion be amended to provide for abatement just for taxable year 2024? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, with that, we're gonna do a roll call. Judy? No, the reason we have to do a roll call is because it's not unanimous.
Oh, I thought
And-
everyone said aye.
No,
It's not unanimous and we have people participating remotely, and that's.
That's fine, I just didn't hear it.
Yes, I say
it's Ron,
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
Mary,
yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Elaine,
No,
Kim,
Yes.
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Sarah. I'm sorry, you're muted. Sarah, do you have the ability to unmute yourself? Or do you want to vote by giving a thumbs up if you vote yes? I center my screen. You have to do something here?
No.
She's gotta unmute herself. Maybe she's not clear, but she's have to vote right now.
Sarah, can you tell that you're the person whose vote we're waiting for? Sarah, we need to know what your vote is on the motion, because you're muted.
Excuse me.
So unmute yourself and vote yes or no.
A reminder of the thumbs up. Yeah.
Or give a thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no. But yes, okay. And Helen, I assume you're not voting on this because you missed the presentation, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
that's
Okay,
correct.
thank you. So the motion carries. The motion is now to abate taxes for tax year 2024.
No,
25.
we just passed them.
No, we didn't.
We passed the amendment.
We passed the motion was to,
Have to do it.
the motion,
Yeah.
the original motion was Carrie's motion to abate tax years 2024 and 2025. The motion was to amend it to only be 2024. That passed, that means the current motion before the body is to amend taxes for tax year 2024. All those in favor? Everybody knows what we're voting on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any no? All right, we voted to abate tax year 2024. Now, we have not addressed 2025. Ron,
So before I move that we abate 2025, I want to suggest that everything that was described about going down tonight, and figuring out what's going on, all that's gonna play out in 2026 because we've already passed the 30-day window. So the applicant's still gonna have to do all that. So I would suggest you go ahead. Just maybe 6 or 9 months from now, and abate the property taxes on that property for the 2025.
so your
If that's
motion
the
is,
motion, Ron, I'll second it.
your motion is abate 2000, tax year 2025.
Correct.
And seconded by Tom. Karen,
So we could have another meeting where we get that information, get those questions answered about whether the property is substantially damaged. So I'm not gonna vote in favor of abating for tax year 25 right now, because I want that question answered, but I'm assuming that should be pretty easy to get, and then we can go back. We don't have to wait until tax year, it's like 6 to 9 months from now. That's a different process.
Mary,
We could do it next week.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
yes, we
Yeah.
could. And Ron is correct that changing the property value is not our jurisdiction. And we have lost the time frame for doing it for this year, but that's a separate issue for me. And which I hope the property owners will address, because I think there's an opportunity there. But not something we can deal with, period, as a board or in this time.
I think with the potential for a rabbit hole has just been created. There, we can bring any number of experts here and there, and each one is going to represent the side that they have. I see this as kind of kicking the can down the road. If you're all welcome to go there, you're going to have to sign a liability factor when you step on the property. But that's just part of the deal. Again, depending on how this boils down, it's just another confrontation to have.
well, I understand, but there are a number of the members of the board who think that what's really going on with your property, including whether you're gonna get a buyout at some point, is relevant to what should happen with the 2025 and future taxable years. Now, to the extent that a rabbit hole has been created, part of it could be the fact that that you've had a couple of opportunities now to appeal your assessment, and you haven't done that, so you're stuck with the assessment that it's, let me just keep talking.
Please.
So you're stuck with the assessment that it is now, which is 161,000 and change. And I know that you think that that is too high for your property. But this body can't do anything about that assessment. The two entities that can do something about that assessment are the assessor and the Board of Civil Authority. And so there's a process to go through for that. And but for the current tax year and for the which is the 2026 tax year, which just started, that's the assessment you're gonna be stuck with. Ron.
So there is a motion which has been seconded, and I guess we're in the discussion phase.
Yeah.
Respectfully, I don't feel that if there's a potential for a buyout, the state, city, FEMA, that would impact the 2026 taxes, not the year that's already finished. Obviously, the house didn't get purchased from tax year 2025. So what might happen is a valid point, but I don't think it applies to the motion of abating the taxes from tax year 2025, which is now over. To Carrie's point, the assessor has already given us his information in the form of the valuation that we deemed. We can have him in, could have another meeting, could have him in and have him explain why he thinks that is. But we'll still have to make our own judgment as to whether or not we want to abate.
I think I think I'm in agreement with Carrie. Where I'm hung up on is like, what was the precedent before? And I believe that the precedent before was that the buildings that we had made that precedent for was that they were substantially damaged. And it's unclear right now if this, and that's a technical term that's determined by the planning department. And so I just want clarity on that we're in aligned with the precedent and that we're not deviating from that. If I really do hope that we can say this building in fact was substantially damaged, and then we can abate the 25 taxes. But without that information, if we make the wrong decision, we've gone off of the precedent, and that I'm not comfortable doing that.
Can't we rely on his testimony that it's substantially damaged?
It's a technical term determined by the planning department.
Is it, or is it?
It is.
I don't feel that
I feel-
directed at me. This is my home, and it's a home that I inherited for multiple generations.
I understand, sir.
No, you don't.
Okay.
You weren't there.
Is there a statutory or regulatory
There's a motion on the floor.
factor that makes the planning department the sole judge? That seems incredible to me.
Okay, John.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion that we go into the deliberative session.
Meaning what?
So we can just discuss this with us.
Without the compressor, we might executive session.
Yeah, just us.
I wonder if we need to do a motion to do that.
Yes,
But at least two.
we always need a motion for executive session. So
The deliberative session is all different,
Session.
but
Just
what you're saying is it's not really a motion to amend the standing motion, but it's a procedural motion.
I'm saying basically, sir, we need to be able to talk about this amongst ourselves. And so I'm trying to create a motion that would allow us to do that.
To talk about it? Is that,
Yes.
sorry, sir.
Yes.
So
Well,
this is a motion.
as long as you're going to do the same thing for everybody else, are you going to go into their houses and instruct to get the information back before you make a decision?
We're not gonna go into your house at all.
Well, somebody is, but as long as that's those people going to everybody else's house, I'm happy.
Okay, we're not going into your house at all. I don't think that's relevant to the.
Well, I didn't say you, not this body, but I said whoever you, the assessor, or whatever this future thing you have in mind, you should do it for one, you should do it for all, but I'm not seeing that.
Well, let me be clear. Every year, the city assessor issues the assessment for your property.
I understand that, sir.
And
Very
every
clear.
year, you get that notice of assessment in the mail, and it includes a statement to you that you can appeal it. And so apparently you got that in 2024, you got that in 2025, you didn't appeal it, so when you get your statement in 2026, if you still disagree with the assessment, you will have the ability to appeal it, but that's not before us tonight.
But that's a basis for your consideration for your motion, right?
Really not,
No,
no,
I misheard.
okay. So John has made a motion to go into deliberative session. Is there a second to that? Any discussion?
You know, when we say need session, if we're gonna continue to talk about how we resolve problems, I think that should be open.
Okay,
I'm not sure what we could say in deliberative session if we can't say it in front of people.
Yeah, no, I just think we'd be able to talk. I mean, we're getting in kind of a fight here. And I think deliberative session would mean we could just talk amongst ourselves and make the decision that we need to make responsibly.
okay, any further just debate on the motion to go into deliberative session? Ken,
I think the statute requires a statement that there's a reason for the executive session.
It's deliberative session.
not the same thing. This is deliberative session. It's under the tax rules.
I'm
So-
thinking about of John's wanting to, has seen that need, how we're functioning, so I'm feeling so professional request. Seeing how he's interacting with that.
Okay, I think I'm gonna start out with a roll call vote because I don't think this is gonna be that.
Clarification, is deliberative session off the record?
It's off the record and in private. Not out of public.
Can you explain the difference between executive and deliberative session? Is it a statutory?
I could look for it. I'm running out of power, by the way. I have to switch on. Sorry? Well, I'm trying to answer the question that Ken raised. I guess I would, rather than do that now, I think what I want to do, I think people are ready to vote on this motion. And I'm gonna call the roll. Jude,
No.
Ron,
No.
Donna,
Yes.
Mary,
No.
Ben,
No.
No.
Wayne,
No.
Sarah, Carrie.
Yes.
Was that yes? Okay. Tom
Yes.
No,
and Sarah,
Could you clarify that motion, please?
it's a motion to go into deliberative session.
Well, to amend the previous
Yes.
motion. We'll go into deliberative session, so then we have to vote on the underlying motion again.
We would do that in deliberative session.
Well, it would be modifying, amending with the overall motion to go into deliberative session instead of grant the 2025.
I see, okay. Well, the motion failed.
Okay. Did we get a vote from Sarah?
Sarah, did you vote on that?
Yes, I did.
And, okay,
So that was yes.
and what was your vote, yes or no?
I voted yes.
Okay, so it looks like 8-4. Okay, so now what we have before us is Ron's motion to abate 2025 taxes. Is that right, Ron? Okay. Any further discussion on that motion? Ron?
So the precedent, this is all from the flow. The precedent was that last year, damages had not yet, in many properties had not been remediated. And that the condition that physical condition of the properties that led to the abatement in the first place were still in play and hadn't changed. And I think that's what we're dealing with here. There are select few, very few properties that are stuck. And yes, the applicant should have and still can for next year go about getting the assessment changed, but that didn't happen. And so they're before us asking for tax relief for the tax year just for a house that is in the exact same condition it was in July 2023. And that's why I am supporting my motion, but it's why I'm motioning that we grant abatement.
John?
I think what's on the table for us is there's gonna be some of us who want that specific designation. And some of us who are comfortable with making a decision based on an equivalence to it. I mean, I'm comfortable voting for this motion just because it's the equivalent, as we understand it, as have been demonstrated to us, of substantially damaged, but I know not everybody's feel that.
All right, ready to vote on this
Yes.
again?
The motion is to abate 20.
Yes.
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 No. No.
No.
Yes.
Yes,
No,
No,
No.
Yes.
Sarah.
Sarah?
No,
You all go around again, my computer.
Tom.
froze up.
Yes.
Oh, you got it, Cody.
What I have it is 6 yeses and 7 nos. Okay. I think that's where we are. I think you still want to be in touch with Mike Miller to find out what's going on with the property and the potential buyout. And so,
Can we get clarity on when the precedent was?
well, the precedent is based on how we acted in the past.
Right.
There's no rule.
That we have to
We
continue.
didn't enunciate a rule. It's not. What I would say is that people are thinking of it as a precedent because they want to be clear that they're treating people who are in similar situations similarly. And so I think that, like in a court case, there are people who are gonna have different views of what they think the precedent was. John and then Mary.
I think the literal precedent was simply that we voted to abate an amount of tax based on damage for something that was not within that tax year. That was what I have been looking at as the precedent, which is unusual, but we decided to do that.
Mary and then Donna.
Well, I made a motion at city council that was, there was 12 houses on Mike's list.
Mhm.
To be abated their taxes.
City council.
Yes, city council, Mike helped me feel it out. We had to work on the wording so you can go back to that.
Well, I'll have to check because
Yeah.
the city council doesn't have the
It doesn't
authority.
normally, but we had this, they were there, we had this whole discussion.
Well, that just doesn't normally, it doesn't at all.
Yeah.
So do you remember what we did?
I mean, I remember us voting here on
Me
it.
too.
We
Well-
totally voted here and we made that decision
Mhm.
and we abated it.
Now, Mary, you had your hand up, right?
Yeah. So we seem very unclear on what this is. And we ought to try to get clarity because we're gonna be asked the same question by other people going forward. And we shouldn't do this again. And I think our failure to support the applicant's request for an abatement of the 25 taxes doesn't mean you can't come back and ask for it after you've talked with the planning department and determined if you're on the substantially damaged list as defined by the planning department, not by somebody. I appreciate the applicant's point of view that is more than substantially damaged. It's a total loss. I appreciate that. But we have a definition that the city is applying that we're trying to conform with, so that we're not putting other taxpayers at a disadvantage or hurting the grant list.
I think the one thing that I'm not gonna ask for clarification, but I'd like to point out from someone sitting in my seat, when the board hears that a precedence has been set, yet now we're going to an individual basis. That precedence was not a precedence, apparently. It was a motion that was taken and that abatement was agreed to. I don't know that you can have it as a precedence and then come back and re-vote on that. So for all intents and purposes, perhaps the only thing we walk away from here is that that was not a precedence that was set. Sir?
I'll wait for the chair to call.
Yes, John.
All right, thank you. I think there's a difference of opinion on what the precedent completely was. And that's why Mary is suggesting you go back and see about that designation with Mike. There are two different opinions among board members. So we are trying to be inclusive of everyone's opinion.
I have. If there's a FEMA process that is substantially damaged under federal criteria, that has nothing to do with our statute. That's our statute. We can make up our own decision of whether it's substantially damaged. And I'm in the rabbit hole category. If anything was substantially damaged, it was this house. And I think we should just cut to the chase, apply our own statute and forget the federal statute. There's nothing to do with this case.
Well, we did get cut to the chase by voting on the motion, and the
Yes.
motion was denied. So I'm gonna move on to the next case, and
Oh, I thought we still had to vote on it.
What should he do next to come back and address it?
You can just send that to me in an email, sir.
I usually talk to Mike Miller.
Yeah.
Talk to Mike
I
Miller.
think we're all set, thank you.
Okay. Victoria Rapone. Not here.
She was gonna come back and where there was questions from the board and she needed to be here, answer the questions, and I guess she's still facing up to it.
So she was here before,
He thought she was not.
meeting at a previous meeting?
but-
Yeah.
No.
Right. So we had asked for Sarah, and I asked her, indicated that the board had some questions, and my understanding was she was at least gonna come on Zoom.
It doesn't look like she's here.
Sorry.
Yes, Mary, or is,
Well, actually, Elaine was first. I was just louder.
I remember going through this at our last meeting and there being sort of a frustration that, or a concern that she had not come in person for a number of times, and that there was a discussion that if she did not come the following time, that we would deny the request. That's just my on this particular.
oh, good point.
So you can make that motion.
So,
I can make that motion.
yes, please do.
I move that we sign the request.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is that you, Mary?
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. There we go. Next up. Kamal Sherpa. It's another water.
Yeah.
That's the reason they. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's the water one. Sorry. Both of these, yeah,
Oh, Jason Jacobs is the owner. I guess. Not here. This is the first time this person has made this appeal, I think.
They don't have to be there. of course.
Right. But. But I don't. Understand it. I read it, I don't. Understand it. We've let people. We've given people another chance if they didn't show up before. We haven't given them, we don't want to give them 10 chances, but is everybody okay with letting him come again?
Yeah.
If, okay, great.
So in being clear that we didn't understand his application and I mean, not just kind of recontact and say, come,
Yeah,
but we're confused.
yeah.
Now, if I don't understand, he's asking for a bit, water, which his narrative seems to talk about water, but then,
It's an abatement on water.
but then he's talking about property. 10% budget.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
We don't know what statutory criteria he's using. Bunch of folks, it's.
Water under the statutes can be abated if it's a rental.
That makes sense because it could be the renter being the one that was paying it.
Statute that recently changed and made water a lot more flexible
Oh,
or fluid, dare I say.
all right. Next up, Evan Richards. Again, no sign of Evan Richards. And this is someone else with a first appearance. Is everybody okay with giving him another chance to come back, or do you want to act on it in his absence? Sorry, Ron.
No, I just. Did it from home again. I think it was something that.
It's been abated for 4 months. It's been abated for 1.
Yeah. Tom.
Mr. Mayor, am I correct in understanding that with the case that was just before us and with this one, if we decide not to take action on it today, that the move will be to postpone our action on it until our subsequent meeting, and then in the interim, the clerk's office or whoever else would be appropriate will be contacting them, letting them know that we anticipate that they'll be at the next meeting and that it's and that we expect them to be present.
Yep.
And I'd move that that's what we do in this case.
Okay, we
I
have
move
a
that we
motion.
postpone action on this and request for the clerk's office issue a reminder to the individual requesting that they appear at our next meeting.
Thanks, Tom. Is there a second? Any discussion? Ron.
Sure. If this, I read this correctly, the homeowner is in a dispute with his insurer.
Yes.
And because of that, they're asking for abatement. I can't, does that fit our criteria?
All I can say is it's a neighbor and they cannot live in your house because of what happened during this fire. And it was some chemical things were in the air and they couldn't enter the house. They have not lived in that house for a year and a half. It's empty.
We abated, did we abate them before? We did.
Yes,
Yep.
87,600 says here.
Right, okay.
They were toxic chemicals and they had young children, so they can't live in the.
Well, it's the same question, isn't it? We abate for another year.
So apparently it was a partial abatement. He's asking, well, please abate the remainder since our last debate.
Boy, this whole discussion makes me think that we don't know the answers to questions that we should have to act on this.
No, hearsay from me.
Right.
But
So are we ready to vote on the motion to put this over to next time and contact the taxpayer? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, Ed Hackett.
Hopefully this is the last time. My house was.
Hold on. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm, subject to the penalties of perjury, the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? One of those has got to be your right hand, right? All right.
Now.
So go on and have a seat.
So, my house was deemed substantially
But
damaged.
you need to hear a microphone for folks in hearing.
You get a little on the side of that.
I mean, it's rocking in wheelchairs. My house was deemed substantially damaged in the flood of 23. 4 of you, I believe, have been to the property. I'm on the buyout schedule and I'm at the last step of the buyout schedule, waiting for the closing. And I'm asking for a short time of taxes to be abated.
So your when's your closing scheduled? When's your closing scheduled?
I'm waiting to hear
Oh,
from them.
It's
It's
not
supposed to be a
scheduled.
week. They're supposed to tell me this week when it's gonna be. I think it will be the end of August, 1st of September, around that time. I'm hoping. I've learned not to say this is happening because it don't happen. That's where I am.
Yours is. The request is for which tax year?
This current one.
25,
26.
26, right?
76.
24 and 25 were abated.
I thought so, that's fine.
Folks, any
I move to abate.
questions?
Second.
Okay, now go ahead, John.
Well, my concern here, I'm not sure what this would mean, maybe I should look treasurer. If we're abating the entire year, when he's only gonna own it for another month or so.
But we don't know that.
But we don't know that, so maybe, so how do we approach it?
We put them on hold.
I'm concerned, because I mean, we can't just, I mean, it's not like. I mean, if you don't own it for another month, if you only own it for another month, then we're just basically cutting you a check for just because. But we want to make sure you're covered.
But
while you own it.
my main concern is I don't want to be put on the delinquent tax list.
Right.
Should date relate? Yeah. He would pay his taxes up through his closing.
Yeah.
Or can we simply abate the first quarter?
And then we can come back.
If you haven't closed, come back to us again.
And
Good with that.
close before the first.
Whatever's easier for you guys, I don't really care.
We hate to make you come back again.
And-
Move to Barry.
And let me ask you this question, in an ordinary real estate transaction, when someone who owns a house sells it during a taxable year, at the date of closing, there's a proration with the seller owning it, owing property tax
Right.
up to the date of closing,
Normally.
the buyer owing taxes from the date of closing. In this case, the city is gonna become the owner, right?
Well. Not really, it's green space forever. I don't know if the city.
City will.
The city will own the property, so as of that point, there's no taxes on it, right?
John's point was that it'll be a full abatement and the city's reimbursing for taxes that haven't yet been paid.
And it wouldn't be.
And aren't gonna be.
It's not reimbursed.
You just don't have to pay it.
Well, but that's the problem with saying an amount specific, I think, as opposed to just saying the first quarter or something.
So,
Well, I like Donna's suggestion of up to the date of closing. Taxes due up to the date of closing are abated, but we don't know when that is. Well,
But then we will.
But it's an official number that happens.
What's the treasurer supposed to do with that?
well, the city gets that information after the closing, right? Because they have to switch the taxes.
Just an FYI, we started in November. With the buyout,
Mhm.
and it was supposed to be 3 months. No,
So
so we've added another 6 months to that. So I'm telling you, I just don't know.
The closing date will take care of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
but he expressed a concern that in the interim, he not end up on a delinquent because he has to pay and we haven't got.
So if there's something wrong with the closing, it could be another 3 months.
So. Did somebody make a motion to abate the taxes through the closing date?
The motion is for the year.
Motion of discussion has it.
We're just talking now.
I can rescind my motion.
Well,
That was the second.
Yes, I'd like to hear from the treasurer and what motion would meet
Yeah.
your needs and the city's needs, because I think we're amenable to whatever that is.
to making it work, yeah.
So
The only thing I care about is I don't want to be reported for delinquent taxes because that goes on your credit score and that goes on any bank that looks at you.
sure, of course.
That's all I care about.
So,
So as I understand it, if we abate through closing, that means there are no taxes due at all to Ed until the house closes, and at that point, there are no taxes due because the city owns it.
As
and
long as that.
And that's an automatic process, as I understand it. When the closing happens, the date of sale and so on goes to the city, and the city changes the book, and we're done.
That part, yes.
And Ed doesn't have to come back, and we don't have to come back.
That part, yes. I'm concerned about what the computer is going to do
Right.
when no money has come, computer doesn't know about until closing.
No, but we've abated it until closing, so
done.
the taxes due.
Yeah, but the date of closing isn't defined yet and it could change.
But no
Yeah,
taxes due.
Yeah, Donna,
So, and if we had said no taxes for 2026, you just take it off right now. Then it doesn't go delinquent. Because we're doing it by closing, we're doing it anytime in 2026, so we said no taxes, we're abating all of 2026 and should be taken care of now, just be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Okay, so
That's
our
the
motion,
original motion anyway.
Rescind my-
then,
you can't
What?
rescind it if it was second,
wait a minute,
so it's still.
but,
It's still.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
but to clarify, if we abate the taxes for the entirety of 2026, does that mean we have to pay the state for the, no, this is just the city portion, so.
As long as we don't specify the amount.
We're abating
Can we
the
go back?
taxes of
Yeah, whatever.
whatever
Whatever
that
that
may be.
is.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying record keeping, is there a way to just take it off the goals effective July 1? So maybe we said what's already owed and then no more.
The only way we do that is by abating, right? That's the only thing we can do.
Yeah.
Okay. And every month you have to. Yeah, that's what we do.
So is there a way to flag it so that when the
You sure you want to be treasurer?
All the ones with the data sheets.
Do we?
All these past 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, see some things.
I mean, we could abate the first quarter. At this point. And then when you have a building date, you let us know, and then.
We just do it
That's
again.
why they could have made it for the whole year, you may do it by quarter. But then you want to come back to us, because our intention is no taxes for 2026.
Right.
So if we give you the authorization, then you do it quarter by quarter.
Right.
And is there any downside to the city to abating a full year's worth of taxes, even though presumably most of that year, there won't be any taxes due? Actually owing.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your concern? So John, what was your concern?
I don't even remember what it was.
You had, the first motion was abate, and you had some concern about doing an entire.
Oh, I think we've been discussing that and have covered it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So there's
So,
Yeah, social.
So
Does it
I think it's
work for you?
gonna work just to abate the 1 year.
Yeah.
okay,
All
all right.
Is that the motion?
That is the motion. And it's seconded, so all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Hi.
Oh, okay, we got
Thank you very
to,
much.
roll call.
Aye.
Oh, you said aye. It was just the delay. I heard him say, I said all those opposed, he said aye, so I thought he was identifying himself as. All right, Lisa.
I don't know. We can already take the name.
All right, would you raise your right hand? You solemnly affirm, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right. All right, why don't you tell us what your request is tonight?
I'm requesting abatement of the tax year of the 26 tax year. And I apologize, a lot of you already know the story, but I always have to start from the beginning anyway. We flooded in 23. Our entire first floor was destroyed. The boys and I have the unique honor of being the single only family living in a house with a substantial damages letter. So for each of us, we actually received a letter from the city that says you cannot repair your home until you either raise it 2 feet above base flood elevations, or you have to demolish it. So my only choices are demolishing it or raising a 3,500 square foot farmhouse, a minimum of 7 feet. We're a little odd in that we are the only ones of the original group that have chosen not to go with the buyout. We love our house. We love the location. It has good bones. We're looking to elevate it. We've been in this process for 2 years. We cannot make repairs. So we are living in a home with no floors, no walls, no ceilings. The insulation is falling out. There's nothing to hold the insulation in. We're paying a huge amount in heating. We're paying, I mean, we can't rent our apartment because there's nothing between the main house and the apartment. So that means we can hold a conversation with the bedrooms from our kitchen, which is awkward with my teenagers. So we can't, so we've been losing, we have a 2-bedroom apartment that we have not gotten any income on now for more than 2 years. And we've struggled through this process. We cannot make any improvements. Our house is absolutely destroyed. We did have full flood insurance. It paid out at half the policy. If you have flood insurance, then you do not get FEMA. And so we did not get additional FEMA. Actually, we got the original money that was about 5,000 because we never did get any kind of emergency housing. So we had to do the repairs enough to be able to keep the house stable and to be able to live there through the last 2 winters. But it's terrible. It's completely bare walls. And we can't make any repairs. And so we're asking for and you're probably thinking, but Lisa, why are you asking for the whole year? At best, the elevation process is a 4 to 6 month process. And that's the elevating part. That's the lifting it, foundation, putting it back on. But then the water and the electrical have to be hooked up. And then we start the remodel. At this point, best case scenario, and I really want to hope for it, but it's a slim at this point. Best case scenario is they start in October. If we do the 6 months from that, I mean, the odds that we're going to be in this house before the end of this year are slim to none. And when they start the elevation process, we can't live there. And so now we're paying our mortgage. And of course, we're paying our flood insurance, even though 2 days ago, I got my note from the flood insurance company that I get every year that says you have to have flood insurance because it's required for your mortgage. But because the money that we paid you is still in the bank account and you have not used it, therefore you cannot claim any new claims. So if I flooded today, even though I'm paying $5,000 a year, which is as low as I can get it, they will pay nothing, absolutely nothing. So I pay this every year along with my homeowner's insurance, along with all the other pieces, along with my full mortgage, but it will not pay out. So sort of the combination of the apartment not being livable, us not going to be able to live there most of the year, and the financial hardship on this, I can't even begin to describe. And let me tell you what it does when you put in your application for a financial assistance. When your mother has $100,000 in cash in a savings account, they don't care. It goes through an AI system. That meant my kid who's going to school this fall, it played against us on all the financial aid because we have this huge pool of cash. And there's no way to get a human being at the federal government to discuss that and try and explain why you have that money and that it's not actually available to pay for education. So combination of everything, we're asking for the abatement for the 26 year. And yes, we received abatement in 24 and 25, and 25 was based, as far as I know, off our substantial damages letter and the fact we cannot legally make repairs until the next steps happen. We've tried to move forward a couple of times and we have not been able to because we're waiting on the city-state process in terms of the elevation money.
Carrie.
So this, again, this is not for us, because we're the Board of Abatement, but I'm just thinking that this is another case where the assessed value doesn't seem to match up with what the house is probably actually worth. This house is assessed at $253,400. And we can't do anything about that right now, but I just want to flag that for that. That is something that would be, if you're still in the house next year, try to address it that way. You know, try to get that assessment changed, because that is not accurate.
At the same time, we're on 3/4 of an acre in Montpelier. A lot of our property is above the flood zone. If I'd been able to, we would have rebuilt higher. That wasn't one of the options. And they did, I respect the fact that they did drop it tremendously a year ago, because before that we were well in it was mid to high 500s. Because again, we are the main house is 3,500 square feet and we have a 2-bedroom apartment. And so I'm not actually fighting that. I think that was in a weird way, sort of reasonable, but I'm hoping that we're recovering. And then a year from now, you're going to be seeing a big tax bill that we're excited to pay because we live there.
Mary.
I just want to make sure I understand your testimony. Your ability to elevate your home has been held up because of stuff that the state and the city are doing. It's not because you're waiting for a contractor. Well, now you're probably, you've been held up because of government issues have not allowed you to continue. And your testimony is that you don't anticipate that the reconstruction of your home will be complete until the end of this tax year.
I think that's a reasonable assumption to make at this point. And yes, you're correct. We are not able to move. We're lucky enough to be part of this state funding. And so we have money to go towards our elevation. It's looking like it's not going to cover the elevation, so we're going to be putting money in on top of that. And then the whole remodel is on us. None of that is being covered by that money. But yes, the money was approved July of 24. But then it didn't get appropriated until September. And then the first RFP didn't go out until January, but then they needed a different RFP. This has been the longest, and it's been really frustrating. A lot of you folks have listened to me come and rant on, just give me a schedule. Just tell me what the schedule is. And we're, 2 years in and we still don't have one.
I'll make a
Donna.
motion to abate 2026.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? There you are. Thanks for coming in.
Question, for the city, not germane to the applicant, no one should take offense to indication even. What are the rules around condemnation?
We can look into that.
Yeah,
I don't have the answer. We've got it covered.
Just wondering.
Yeah,
One more person waiting.
yeah. All right, Mary.
Happy service.
Okay. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly affirm, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Mary Zentara, tell us your story.
I am requesting tax abatement for this coming 2026 year. My house flooded in 2023, was deemed substantially damaged. I, like Ed, am getting a buyout through FEMA and the state, and the closing is scheduled for August 14th.
Wow, you
And the house has been unlivable. It's gutted on the first floor. I have not been able to be there. Tired.
Any questions from members of the board?
I move that we grant the abatement for the tax year 26.
Seconded.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any-
Aye.
All right, thank you. That concludes the business on our agenda. So I think we can be adjourned at 8:12 PM.